Hey guys, and welcome back to part 2 of the Landry family fortune scenario. And in this video, we are really finishing up the house, mainly the upstairs and the exterior. So if at this point you did not watch part 1 of this video and would like to see how we got started with this wooden house, I will have a link up at the top right, so you can start there if you'd like to. But essentially, in part 1 of this video, we started with just a basic structure for what the house was going to be like, and we finished the downstairs. We furnished it, and it's ready to live in. So, little scenario that I kind of have on top of the scenario is this is the house that Grandpa, Ernie, built for Grandma. And this was really the first big thing he did for her. So this home kind of has a lot of wooden features, and it's because I'm imagining that he built everything himself. The beds, the windows, the walls, well, the whole thing. Alright, so at this point, I tried to get the layout for the upstairs correctly because the downstairs had Grandma's bedroom, the living room, the dining table, the kitchen, all the necessities, and Grandma's private abode. And the upstairs is really going to have more of the grandchildren's bedroom. And because of the dynamic that this family has with each other, there's going to be a little corner which I decided would be the meditation area. Because sometimes when you have a lot of hotheads in the family and a lot of fumes coming out of everybody, everyone just needs to go sit down and calm themselves. So that's going to be the nook we're building upstairs. I'm also adding the decks outside, so I realized just kind of like for everybody to get together, and with this scenario, basically in order to inherit the family fortune that Grandma has to give, the grandchildren have to make something worthy of themselves. So I decided I'm going to have them just work on their own private skills, private side hustles that's going to be kind of staged on this deck. So this deck is going to be kind of like where the family really comes together, really in their own time, but also kind of works together. I thought that would be kind of cute. So I'm adding the stairs, and to not get into the already tight space that the upstairs is, I decided that I would have the stairs kind of like outside from the deck, so this way it's kind of more private. The grandchildren do have access to it, but from outside, and it's not really inside, so it's kind of like their own little area. And at this point, I'm thinking about what I would really want the exterior to look like, because this is kind of like their ancestral home, Grandma's ancestral home, so we're going to have a lot of greeneries. Alright, so now we're adding the stairs to the deck. I'm adding just one big stairs. I kind of like to try to match it, kind of like make it line up with the doors instead of having it be kind of like off center that way. I find it more peaceful when it kind of all like something lines up. And now I'm adding the path. So this part actually took a lot longer than I wanted it to, because I was really trying to line it up. I was so focused. I was like, I need this to line up. But then I started thinking, and I was like, why did I just not use like tiles, or like just like the regular tile that you can place downstairs? But I was way too committed. At this point to just put tiles over it. So I was like, I'm going to perfect this spray painted flooring outside. So eventually I might go back and add like some kind of similar tile to kind of make it look more like actual pavements. Not pavement, just like a path. But for now, we're just spray painting everything. I think being that the budget for this family is going so low, I should rather just stick with the spray paint. Alright, so for the grandchildren's bedroom. This was a little bit of the tricky part because I didn't really know how to really personalize it, because if you kind of understood what we're doing here, it's a scenario, so I did not create this character, so this point I don't really know their personalities. So I thought maybe the best way would be to make them kind of similar in terms of the furnishing and everything, but just like add the basics for now, because I can always come back eventually and really personalize the upstairs once I know their personalities and what they're really about. So right now I just basically have 3 bedrooms, and they all differ in size. We have the smallest to the biggest, and the biggest one kind of also has their own private like balcony outside. So that to me was interesting because that would be where the family favorite lives, and they kind of, I'm just gonna pick that as we go. Alright, so adding the windows, same windows. So, maybe it all just lines up with my backstory, which is Ernie built this house and he made everything himself. He built these beds, guys. He put on the wallpaper, he made the windows with his bare hands. Quite talented old man. He was unfortunately no longer with them, but that's what Ernie did. And this house is Ernie's big declaration for grandma, really. So it's not about the grandchildren. The grandchildren want it to be about them because they eventually want to get the money, but this is really about grandma. Alright, so I'm adding a bathroom upstairs. So downstairs I had grandma's private bathroom with her bath and everything, and there was like a little shower that the rest of the family can kind of use. So upstairs I'm giving them more of their own bathtub and everything. So we have the basics in here. So there was a time when I would make Sims houses that I would really focus on the accessories, such as I would add toilet paper in the toilets, but after a while I was like, why even waste space to add toilet paper when nobody really uses it? Well, they don't use it at all, it's just kind of there. They don't even know it's there. So that was the day that I started not focusing on the space where those little features go if I don't really have to, which I really don't. So yeah. Alright, so now for the wallpaper. I thought I would try to have them have different wallpapers, but then I thought maybe it would be nicer to kind of give them like a very similar wallpaper for the bedrooms, and it kind of lines up with what we have downstairs. So I'm really trying to also make the whole house cohesive. I don't want it to feel like they are 2 different pieces put on top of each other. So like we need some kind of continuation. So now I'm working on that little nook. This little nook is going to be the little meditation area, and I really just want it to be like a nice little zen corner where they can all come together, all 3 siblings who currently hate each other, to just kind of like meditate and calm down. So I know that in the game it doesn't really work that way. Meditation won't make them more peaceful, but we'll just assume it does. So I also want big windows here, so I thought, what, maybe I should just move things around a little bit, just because I want a big window and I want it by the door somewhere, so that could kind of be it. Because like even though when I'm doing that, I'm trying to look at the outside as well as the inside, so just kind of want it to look nice on both ends. Symmetry and me, we get along a little bit too well, so sometimes it becomes like my own private torture. So I'm putting in the curtains, and as usual, I don't feel like I have much choices of curtains in this game, so just sticking with what works. Well, like stylistically, there are a few things that I want to go back and just make tiny changes eventually, maybe as I'm playing with them, and I can kind of like feel out for like maybe we have something else that works better. Because right now, as I said, I don't know anything about these grandchildren, so I'm just giving them something that's kind of neutral. They'll either love it or hate it or not care at all, which I think might happen. So just giving them that. Alright, so I love having rugs in every room. I feel like rugs make the room feel more complete in some ways, and the size of rugs that I like to use isn't fitting into that small bedroom, so maybe I should just make it just a smidge bigger, and it would reduce the meditation corner, but it doesn't really matter that much, so it's all good. Alright, so I was trying to kind of like feel out where to do what, just because like again, I'm big on rugs, like I really love adding rugs everywhere, but you know what, maybe it's for the better. So now I'm just adding like desks inside all of their rooms because I do want them to have their own computers, have their own room, like we want them to be working on something. And in most cases, Sims need computers to access their career features and do some tasks, so all of them are getting their own computer. They are very lucky that Grandpa Ernie had a lot of money to build this house because now everybody gets desks and computers. Okay, so at this point I'm like trying to figure out how to finish this bedrooms a little bit better, adding some nightstands and lights everywhere. I don't want it to exactly be like it's being copy pasted, so the decoration is where I try to at least make them different. I don't know if you've ever experienced this, but when I was younger, in my house, the bedrooms in my house were kind of like very similar in the sense of like, you know, we had very similar types of beds and like our walls were all the same color and everything. And it was the little pieces that really differentiated and showed personality in our bedrooms, so like we were able to add those on eventually. And knowing that the Sims can't really do that, I'm still giving them similar base furnitures and similar walls, but we're just kind of trying to make everything a little different so it can be decorated differently. So yeah, that's up to them, up to me, I guess, to show their personality in terms of my decoration. So they all get different paintings because this is not a hotel room and everything doesn't exactly have to be the same. So really, I go based on two things. I try to look at the pieces that I like, that the game has to offer, and where it can kind of fit. And on the other side is I really try to work on the placement and see what works better. So trying to just see what fits with the layout, the size of the room, and at the same time what pieces I like, and I just kind of like allocate them that way. Alright, so now for the little meditation corner, I added this kind of like painting on the wall, and now we're just adding like 3 meditation like stool seating. I don't really know how you call these things, but since they are 3 siblings, they can each kind of take one and work on their own issues together. I was going to add a yoga mat somewhere but decided against it. But what I'm going to add is a little chess table, because let's just say that grandma is passionate about chess, and if her grandchildren want to join her, that's better for them because they get to do something together and kind of like build their relationship. I also want to have little gardening patches in the backyard so they can grow things. I didn't really intend on it to be what makes them money, but it's more so, you know, I think it just makes things a little bit nicer than for me to just place down random trees in the backyard. So like this way it kind of like changes as they change things and it feels a little bit more organic. I wanted to add a swimming pool in the right corner, but at this point I'm running pretty low on funds, so I think I'm just going to leave that right corner kind of bare for now and just circle back later and think about what we can put in there. There are a few things that could be nice, having maybe like a little camping tent outside, make it nice, or just like something that can be fun but also looks great. Alright, so now I'm adding the hedges. The hedges, I'm kind of like trying to maybe line them around the house, but since the side of the decks are not symmetric, I kind of went with the door and stairs situation in that case. So I'm just trying to see how I can make it work so that it all flows around the house, but it doesn't necessarily have to be the same height everywhere. They already had two big trees, so I decided to kind of like just stick with them and just place them. I don't want a lot of big trees because as much as I think trees look nice outside of the houses, when you do play, it kind of gets in the way, I feel like sometimes, so I didn't want to have too many. I guess good thing that the house plot is already surrounded by trees. So I'm adding a little flower arranging station. Somebody is gonna have to use it, so one of the siblings adding a little woodworking bench for someone else to use it, because we just want them to do things and get better on their own. I'm a little bit worried because from what I read of the scenario already, when you kind of pick it, it did say that someone is lazy, and I'm not sure who, but I don't know how that's gonna work with getting them to just get up and do things. So that's why I have lots of activities around, so like they just kind of have to do something. And I like adding those pillars to the house, so I'm trying to make it work, but I'm not sure how it would, just because my deck is not lining up to it. So I'm just trying to figure out something stylistically, but it's looking like I might have to give up on this one for now. Maybe I'll figure that out later. Maybe we don't really need pillars. Maybe I need to tell myself that I don't need to do the same thing every single place in every single house that I do. I'm putting some light along this path for the backyard, and I'm trying to make them look random but also on purpose. Kind of like strategic, that's the better word. Strategic placement, but also it doesn't necessarily have to line up with everything. We just need it to flow. So here's me trying the pool, but I've used up most of the fun already. So the fun I started with in part 1 of this build was 80,000, but you know, it's kind of what it is at this point. Alright, so on this note, the house is kind of complete, and I'm gonna try to give you a little out view of the outside, just so you can really see what we finished with. And I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I will catch you guys back for the next one. Bye!